Today, I am starting a new series on the Joseon Dynasty and the Chosen Wanjo-sil록. The Chosen Wanjo-sil록 is a comprehensive record of the events that took place during the Joseon Dynasty, which ruled Korea from the late 14th century to the early 20th century. This record was written by various government officials and scholars of the Joseon Dynasty over several centuries, and was officially recognized as a historical document by the Joseon government. In this first video, I'll be focusing on the dynasty's founder and first king, Taebaek, and what makes this video extra special is that I have been given access to the images of original Chosen Wanjo-sil록 documents. I'll be showing you scanned images of the original records, and I'll be reading out the text in English for you. This is Volume 1, Book 1, Chapter 37, Page A of Taebaek Mountain Records, Storage Collection. Now, let's start Volume 1, Book 1, Chapter 37, Page A. On July 17, 1392, the first article of King Taebaek's reign, Taebaek ascended the throne at the Sucheon Palace. Before this, on the 12th of this month, Gongyang King was made Taebaek's subject, and was trying to ally with Taebaek while holding a drinking party, but the chief of the officials, Baek, informed the Queen Mother, now that the king is in a state of confusion, and has already lost his power, he cannot be the guardian of the state and the people, so I ask that he be abdicated. Finally, after receiving the queen's advice, the decision was already made to abdicate Gongyang King. Namgan finally arrived at the Sejong Palace, with Chunghap Pyornli, Chunghyegev, and announced the advice, and Gongyang King obeyed the command, and said, I never wanted to be the king, but many officials forced me to be the king. I am not wise enough to know the affairs. How could I have defied the feelings of the officials? As he spoke, he burst into tears and tears flowed down his face. As he spoke, he burst into tears and tears flowed down his face. Finally, he gave up his throne and went to Wonju, and the officials received the royal seal and proclaimed the king. On the 13th Imjin Dabla declared the school site and made Taebaek a Gamnotguksa. On the 16th Yulmi by Gukryam and Jo Jinyi, Kim Sa-hyung, Lee Ji, Lee Hwan, Jung Hee-jai, Lee Ji-ren, Nam Nam, Chang Sa-gil, Jung In-chan, Cho In-ok, Park In-jae, and Park Min-jo, and Park Min-jo, Rim, Han Sang-kyung, Huang Jio-jang, Im, Yin-chung, Chang Sa-jin, Min Yo-ik, and others went to King Taebaek's mansion with the national bird, and people filled the alley. The king said that the rest of the people wanted to kill him, because he was not happy alone, and showed it in his face, and did not tilt his head and talk. I can't kill you out of loyalty. I tried hard to dry my teeth. On this day, several wives of the family members met Taebaek and Kandi, and ate only rice with water, and all the wives were surprised and afraid, and they scattered to the north gate. Taebaek closed the door, and prevented him from coming in. But at sunset, Jeolyam and others pushed the door, and immediately entered the inner house, and placed the gukse on the office building, and Taebaek lost his gojo because he was afraid of it. When I finally came out of the Chimin gate, holding Lee Ching-woo, hundreds of white officials lined up, and bowed, and beat the drum to sing Mance. Taebaek was very afraid, and seemed to have no place to tolerate on his own, so he recommended that he join forces to ascend the throne. The presence of a king in the country only makes the people comfortable underneath, and the resignation above. In Goryeo, it has been almost 500 years since the founding of the Joseon Dynasty, but when he became King Gunmin, he suddenly passed away without a son. At that time, the king's memorial service had already been abandoned for 15 years, since he stole the throne of King Gongmin's son, Wu, who was falsely desired, because he wanted to strengthen his general performance by doing as much power as he wanted, Wu soon did what he wanted, slaughtered the innocent, and raised an army to attack Liaodong. He was the first to advocate the cause and return the army, and Wu refused the throne because he was afraid of his sins. Accordingly, Yi Saok and Cho Minsu joined Liam, Xinwu's wife, and helped his son Cheng to establish him as king, and Wang's successor was abolished twice. This was the period when heaven commanded the public as a king, but he was humble and refused to take the throne, and instead appointed Zhengcheng Buanggun to temporarily frost the state affairs, so he was able to comfort the people by accepting the precarious resignation. On the previous day, Xinwu's evil was known by many people, but Li Saok and Wu Hunbo, the group, insisted on being seduced and planned to recover the throne against Xinwu, but the crime was revealed, so they secretly sent Yin Yi and Li Chou, the king of China, and ran away. What can't you do when you can't do this? The officer and the tribute alternately raised the small area to make Chai Chiang, and the writing went up dozens of times, saying, Li Saok and Wu Hunbo were guilty of Sijik and caused anger to the people, but Zheng Changgun was not afraid of the two local secretaries, because of the relationship between In-Ah. While Kim Jong-yeon was on the run, he formed a party to make a fuss, and Kim Jo-bo and others were inside, and tried to respond to the changes, so the so-called Hwaran's rise did not stop every day. But Zheng Changgun did not take care of the great policy for Sajik and the people, so if there were more people, he would forgive them. If you decide on a plan to help build a king, the meritorious service is in Sajik, and if you say thanks to the people, they will listen to the plight of the women and patience on the left and right, and if they are strong and do not flatter, they will also punish them. When heaven learned the meaning of rebuke, the stars changed several times, and the yor took turns. Zheng Changgun himself lost his king's duty, and asked that the people's hearts had already left, and he could not resign and become the presiding officer of the people, so he stepped down and went to the priest. However, the affairs of the military government and state affairs are extremely. King Taeyo refused, and said, since ancient times, the king has to have a mandate of heaven. How dare I bear it when I am truly a man of no virtue? At last, he did not respond, as it was more desperate to recommend that Deso Sinrio, Haoyang, and Kiro, etc., joined forces to escort them and rise to the throne without stepping down. King Taeyo reluctantly struggled to Sikandung Palace. On this day, when hundreds of white officials greeted him in a line, from the west side of the palace gate, Taeyo got off the horse and walked into the hall to ascend the throne, avoiding the royal seat and standing inside the pillar, receiving condolences from various officials. He ordered officials above the panseo of King Yukio to ascend to the top of the hall. Even when I became the prime minister, I was always afraid that I would not be able to fulfill my duties with a fear. But how could I have thought that I would see this today? If I am healthy, I can avoid it even with a horse. But now that I am sick and cannot use my hands and feet properly, the lords should cooperate with each other to assist the less virtuous. He did so. In response, he ordered the minor ministers of the central and local regions of the Goryeo Dynasty to see political affairs as they used to, and finally returned to the mansion.